My oaths betray each other till there's nothing left to keep.
Only Us by Miracle of Sound. Alright, so welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 13 of Words of Radiance.
No, it's 12, obviously. You said this already.
This is episode 13. It's our fourth time being episode 10. And we did chapter 58 to 59, which only seems like 2 chapters, but we also had 3 interludes in between chapter 58 and 59. So we start with chapter 58 called Never Again. And our epigraph is, So Militia retired to his tent, and resolved to destroy the Voidbringers upon the next day. But that night did present a different stratagem, related to the unique abilities of the bondsmiths, and being hurried, he could make no specific account of his process. It was related to the very nature of the heralds and their divine duties, and a tribute the bondsmiths alone could address. From Words of Radiance, chapter 30, page 18. So what do you think Militia, the previous bondsmith, did to destroy the Voidbringers?
Made them into Shardblades.
Oh, that'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah, that's why they're evil. That's why the Shardblades are evil.
I see. What do you think, Darkness? What did Militia do to the Voidbringers? Okay.
Nah, if there's a if there's a way to corrupt them, there's got to be a way to like cleanse them, right? Well, we have the freaking idea that
Wait, we have the idea?
what's their name? The Parshendi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Are
Eshadai?
just the
Just
Parshendi in
the
general.
Parshendi in general.
Yeah, we have the idea that they're the Voidbringers or whatever, right?
Yeah, so Yasna
not my
believes
theory
that
anymore.
all of the Parshmen, including the Parshendi, are Voidbringers. Her theory was something was done that caused the Parshmen to be as they are and be different from the Parshendi.
Right. Wouldn't that just mean they found a way to seal the god, or like whatever?
Mm-hmm. So I think this is referring to this bondsmith somehow used their abilities to like take the Spren from the Parshmen. That's how they like destroyed the Voidbringers. So we start with Kaladin's point of view as he's chained to a chair in Dalinar's manor.
Yeah, we didn't even see him fight them? God, man, that's so
Nope.
annoying.
Elhokar
All of their ass.
Elhokar and Dalinar are arguing, with Dalinar insisting that Elhokar let Kaladin go free, and Elhokar arguing that Kaladin tried to call out someone way too high above his station.
All I gotta say is Dalinar really made me mad here in this one.
Made Kaladin
Yep.
pretty mad too.
I was like, Kaladin, just murder them all, please.
Dalinar insists that Kaladin was honorable as the only person to try to help Adolin, but Elhokar isn't happy that a Dark Eyes was even allowed in the dueling arena. He also insists that informs Kaladin that he had interrupted Adolin and thus allows Sadeas to get away with not fighting right away. Instead, he'd agreed to a duel in a year's time. So what do you think about the fact that
true.
Sadeas got away from the duel because of Kaladin?
It's not true. He would have come up with his little sleazy ass idea anyways.
Regardless, he got away because the fucking king decided, oh, Kaladin's not worthy, so I'm gonna fucking make a big deal about it and prevent them from furthering the fucking accusation.
That's the only reason. Yeah, it's not Kaladin's fault. I mean, I guess indirectly, with what Darkness is saying, it's technically Kaladin's fault because he took the point of interest. But honestly, I think that would have happened anyways, just for him saving him anyways. Just for Kaladin fighting, he would have been all up in a tizzy. It's annoying. I don't like this king at all. I also don't like Dalinar in this chapter. So
I'm iffy on Dalinar because I feel like he does make some valid points. Kaladin is completely acting like a child.
When he states, I looked into him and nothing was wrong, and there are 14 different people who say this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, you don't seem to understand how easily this dude could just be like, all right, you 14 people, I need you to vouch for me. So his views on Amaram piss me off, but his reply to Kaladin interrupting the boon thing, exactly. I completely agree that Kaladin was being 100% selfish and not thinking of the big picture. Yes. However, if Dalinar had taken the Amaran thing seriously, he might not have been in that position in the first place. Exactly, that's my point. I
feel like they're both. I feel like they're both being stupid, but also partially in the right in their own ways. I I do feel like Kaladin's acting a bit like a child, especially when he's like,
I agree.
You'll have to fight me to take me to prison. And Dalinar's like, get your fucking head on straight, bitch.
Yeah, right. I mean, I agree. I mean, I bet I said the same thing, but I agree that like who's gonna fight Kaladin? Really? Come on. Like you guys don't have the resources to fight Kaladin right now. Like actually fight Kaladin. Like unfortunately, like they don't even know that, which is scary. But like when he said that, I was like, damn right, Kaladin. Not one of these motherfuckers can stand against you.
They couldn't, but Kaladin is acting like a petulant child there. He's basically throwing a temper tantrum.
I agree. I mean, but I mean,
is he throwing a temper tantrum though, considering where the fuck he's been most of his life now?
He's
headed?
Yeah.
Also,
no, he is.
Also, if we're gonna say Kaladin's a child in this, so is the king.
Oh, Elhokar is like I have no sympathy for in this whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm saying Dalinar has some valid points. Not all of it, but he has some valid points. And Kaladin's partially in the wrong here. But Elhokar is a complete write-off. Like, fuck Elhokar in this scene.
Yeah, like, I mean, I can understand it from the position that Dalinar is in, but at the same time, he's not thinking about the facts, like, that this dude could do this. Like, think outside the box, man. Like, think about the fact that, like, his power could easily sway these other people's minds to, like, lie for him. And then not only that, he can easily manipulate the situation to be like, oh yeah, I got this Shardblade at this time instead of, when Kaladin said. Like, it's not that hard. Like, it's crazy to me that he didn't even think about it. It's just like, oh, nope. He obviously, he's Light-Eyed, so why would he lie, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see, I mean, it's just the way, the things that I don't understand is, like, you've seen Kaladin's ability. You've seen that he is capable of fighting, not only fighting people, fighting Shardbearers.
Mm-hmm. I think, to be fair, though, as well, is Amram and Dalinar are close friends. And he's known Amram for a very long time. Like, he trusts Kaladin a lot, but it's still, like, if your close friend told you, this guy's lying about me, like, and it's a person you just met, even if they meant a lot to you, like, are you going to believe them over your friend? No, especially when there's a ton of other people vouching for your friend.
That you also believe heavily in, yes. But at the same time, though, like, he's not even giving the idea a second thought. Like, he literally... I mean,
he kind of did, because he went and, like, interviewed a whole bunch of people. Like, he kind of did. He's like, okay, I'm not just going to take my friend's word for it right off the bat. I'm going to go talk to a bunch of the soldiers that were apparently there at the time. Including not just Light-Eyes who'd be easily influenced, but also random Dark-Eyed soldiers that were in his army, he says.
In whose army?
Amram's army? The thing is, though, no one that's not in Amram's army is going to be able to be a witness, is the thing, right?
No, but none of them were a witness, though.
Well, they claim that they did witness him getting it.
Well, but what I'm saying is, like, so are we... I mean, I wanted really to see him interview himself, like, get that point of view, to be honest. Because, like, I want to see their stories. Like, do they corroborate the story? Like, is it actually the same story, or is it like, oh yeah, no, we saw it, and then that's it? Like, they don't have anything of substance afterwards.
Because we don't know what it feels like. Yeah, we don't know how much Amram went through to make it seem like he'd only gotten it a few months ago. Like, he could have set it up where, like, he basically gave a guy the Shardblade to then kill the guy to take it back, supposedly. Or it could just be he never showed it to anyone until a few months ago. And people are like, oh yeah, he only had it as a few months ago, but we never saw him get it.
Yeah, just like
we don't know how far the witnessing went.
Yeah, just like Shallan. I mean... Where would her Shardblade have come from, Like,
yeah, we don't know yet.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, like, if she did the same thing, if she handed it to somebody else, because nobody has seen her with her Shardblade yet, except the people who are dead.
Yeah.
Wait, no. Am I wrong there? Did the people see her with the Shardblade?
Vatha and the guys, have seen her with the Shardblade recently.
Yeah, okay. So I was gonna say, somebody had seen her, actually. Never mind.
Yeah, no, the people who are her guards currently do know about the Shardblade. Those are the only ones. And the merchants that she had traveled with.
Yeah, so there are people that know she has the Shardblade.
Yeah, there are now. But, like, if she hadn't still been holding the Shardblade after she killed Tin, like, she could technically have done the same thing. Anyway, so Elhokar states that he will sentence Kaladin to execution, which Dalinar states he will not stand for. Elhokar then asks if he is king, and Dalinar replies that he is, but he will make an enemy of Dalinar if he tries to execute Kaladin. Which, again, point I feel like in favor of Dalinar here. He's like, you are not taking out my fucking captain. Fuck you.
Yeah, the person who literally saved my life
Yeah.
from another Light Eyes, might I add. Like,
Mhm.
come on.
He's like,
Like,
you may be my
and you're-
nephew, but you will make an enemy out of me if you try and kill him.
Yeah, but I kind of want to know what that would mean. You know, like
It would probably mean a civil war.
what are you implying with that? Because if it's civil war, yeah, that's cool. But if it's like literally like you're gonna make an enemy out of me, like in my opinion, from the king perspective, I'd be like, what are you gonna do? Like, I am the king. I could have you beheaded.
Dalinar, though, is much stronger than Elhokar, and he could potentially just kill Elhokar if he wanted to. Like, he's proven to Elhokar previously, like, I could kill you if I wanted to.
But at the same time, though, like, couldn't he do the same thing? Couldn't Elgar also do the same thing? Just literally from a king perspective?
The thing is, though, who's going to follow through with that? He could order it. All of his guards are Dalinar's men. They're all the bridgemen.
Sadius.
I mean, who's putting Kaladin in prison?
Dalinar's allowing it. It's lesser guards. It's the guards that used to guard Elhokar that are now on lesser guard duty.
That's my point, though. Is if he can put Dalinar in, put Kaladin in prison, how is he still not like?
But
how is he
Dalinar
not
allowed
able-
it. Like, we don't know if those men are still technically loyal to Dalinar. Dalinar allowed Kaladin to be put in prison.
One more negative point on Dalinar.
Well, he says that Kaladin needs to go think things through, and he's basically putting him in timeout.
For days, okay.
To be fair, I feel like Kaladin needs it. Kaladin's a little.
I think Kaladin is in the right.
I'm not fully
Yeah,
on
that's
Kaladin's
from-
side here.
Really? So you don't
It's
think he should
funny
have called out
'cause
Amulet?
You say he needs it, and I get the temper tantrum type of thing, but you're also like, it's like pushing someone towards a trigger from their past trauma and being like, here, you need it for like
Yeah.
a fucking reality check.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like
Yeah, we already know
the
he
thing
doesn't like
is
White
though,
Eyes.
like Kaladin, like he's getting a little too like I feel like he's like, especially with some of the comments he makes in this chapter, he thinks himself basically above everyone else, and he needs to realize like you're not the king, Kaladin. You're not in charge of every single person ever. You're not untouchable, especially if you're not going to show the fact that you have powers and let Dalinar raise you to a station where you're higher up. Like, you need like it's
Can
one
he, though? I don't think he can. I thought he said that was pretty much the highest position he could give Kaladin.
as a
because-
Dark Eyes, but the thing is, would it be different if he knew Kaladin was a Knights Radiant?
First off, that just became a thing to them. Like, they literally, like, they've known the word. They never had a title. But even if that was a thing, right? Like, even if he does show his powers, if Dalinar made him a Knights Radiant under the man who he's literally claiming is killing, like, has like basically killed him.
Well, but the thing is as well, like, maybe if Kaladin was like, hey, I'm a Knights Radiant, I have an honor spread, I do not lie. Amaran's wrong. My spread, the honor spread says he's wrong. Can we
But if they can believe him about Amaran, they're gonna believe him about that.
I don't
They're
know.
not gonna believe him. They'd have to have Syl would have to show
At this
her.
point, I wouldn't.
Even at that point, they'd probably be like, "It's a Voidbringer."
That's what I'm saying. At that point, I wouldn't be surprised if they accused him of being a Voidbringer.
Yeah, like no way. I mean, I agree with you. I do agree with you that Kaladin is a little in his head, and it has been seen quite a bit now that he's been in his head a lot about these things. Like he's seems to be pushing himself above his own station, and telling Light Eyes things that you know.
Like, I don't fully believe like he deserves to go to prison, but I believe that he does need to like sit and think about like how he's acting. Like, maybe not in prison. Yeah. Prison's definitely too far, but like he needs to go and like take a step. He needs to go. Well, execution was way too far, and even Dalinar's like, I'll agree to him being in prison for like a little bit while I talk to Elhokar and try and get him to back off. But like, if you do anything farther than that, like, I am fighting you on this, Elhokar. But like, I believe Kaladin, like, I don't believe prison's the right thing, but I think Kaladin probably should have been like, if an ideal punishment, I feel like, to him acting like out like that and potentially ruining their whole Sadius plan is for him to go like, okay, you're off duty for like 3 days, go sit and think about things.
Here's the next thing I had. Here's the next idea I had, right? He called out this guy. He called out somebody well above his station or whatever, right?
Yep.
He called out that person. How can they make the assumption that a Dark Eye calling them out is such an outlandish thing. Obviously, you guys all think they're lesser than you. So,
Oh yeah.
could he not also then show he can beat Kaladin then? I mean...
Well, basically, Elhokar says, I don't remember if it was in this chapter or the last one, but, like, he basically says you slandered, like, this high-ranking Light Eyes who's, like, way above your station. Like, it's apparently a crime.
So have him prove it. Have him prove that he is better than Kaladin.
Yeah, but Elhokar's being too much of a temper tantrum bitch to go through the proper processes.
Yeah, like, I mean, if Elhokar believes that he did nothing, like, that he's slandering him, let him go through the duel and clear his name.
Well, I think the thing is, first of all, I don't know if that would technically clear his name, but I think...
In the society that they live in, yes, it probably would.
Well, the thing is, Elhokar doesn't even like the fact that a Dark Eyes was in the dueling arena in the first place. He doesn't think Dark Eyes have the right to fight in a duel.
Well, it's not like he's going to fight anyone.
Wait, 1 second. Yet, how do they have precedent for Dark Eyes getting shard blades? If a Dark Eye went out there and murdered a Light Eye and got their shard blade, he all of a sudden becomes a Light Eyes.
Yes, because Dark Eyes are allowed in the army. So if you're fighting and you win a shard, I think it's specifically about winning a shard blade from an opposing force. I think if you just went out and assassinated a random Light Eyes who's on your side, you would technically keep the shard blade, but I think it's more so, unless there's another Shardbearer to fight him, like, there's not much they can do about it. But you're not supposed to go and assassinate some random Light Eyes. It's, you're in an army fighting a Shardbearer, and you kill them, you get the right to that blade.
Obviously not, but yeah. That's their belief, yes. I get that. I say, because obviously
it's a little
not.
different. Yeah, because it's a little different.
Kind of did it.
I mean, technically, Amaram technically was doing the wrong thing, and to their laws.
Yes.
He went against that. But also the thing is, if Kaladin had just taken the blade in that moment, Amaram can't do anything about it, because Kaladin would have a shard blade and he wouldn't. So technically he would have been able to keep it if he had just taken the shard blade, but because he handed it to Amram, he no longer had the power to stop it.
What if Shallan gave Kaladin her blade? Would that make him a Light Eyes all of a sudden?
If the legends are true, we've been told that a Light Eyes, or that a Dark Eyes will become a Light Eyes if they have a shard blade. Like, their eyes will actually lighten, is what we were told in the first book. No one's seen it to know if it's true or not. But he would at least have the status of a Light Eyes, whether his eyes lighten or not. Because he owns a shard blade, he'd be given the status of a Light-Eyed person.
Now we know that's not happening, considering that he killed her brother, but, you know.
Well, I mean, a lot of dumb shit happens constantly, so does she even know that yet? Oh.
No,
she doesn't know that yet.
She doesn't know Kaladin did that, yeah.
So I don't think technically he even fully said it when he slandered Amram during the duel, at the end of the duel. I think he just claimed that Amram killed a bunch of his men. So, like, she, even from his shout-out, like, because she was there to listen, she doesn't fully know the whole
shout out
story.
to Amram if you're hearing this podcast.
Shout out to Amram if you're listening. Fuck you.
Anyways, where were we? Kind of talked about the whole chapter without me actually fully summarizing the whole chapter.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we just went into a tangent about the entire chapter, basically.
So, Lift and her little buddy.
Oh my god, we're not doing that yet.
We're going to get onto that for sure. We just did the whole chapter. What are you talking about?
It was pretty cool how they were talking about how that one friend blessed her or whatever, and then they were like also talking about how they have like a societal like structure.
We'll get into that later. Elhokar then leaves the room, and Dalinar Elhokar says that he'll instead send Kaladin to prison for as long as he feels like, which Dalinar agrees to. Elhokar then leaves the room, and Dalinar commends Kaladin for helping Adolin, but criticizes him for what he did in calling out Amram, as he knew the plan and he'd been in the meetings. Dalinar also tells Kaladin that he needs to stop calling out Amram, as he's talked to 17 witnesses, light and dark-eyed, saying that Amram won his shards after Kaladin had already left his army and become a slave. We've already kind of talked about that, so I'll just skip my question. Kaladin then asks why Amram didn't help Adolin if he's so honorable, which does cause Dalinar to pause for a moment. But he tells Kaladin that he'll go to prison, and Dalinar will work on getting him out as quickly as possible. Kaladin, however, states that he won't let himself be taken, which causes Dalinar to shout at him angrily that he's acting like a child and that there are bigger issues going on. He tells Kaladin to be a soldier, not a child. Kaladin is shocked.
The other thing. Isn't the assassination of the king's thing still going on?
Yup. Which is, I think, one of the reasons why Dalinar's like, I need to get you out as soon as possible, but, like, also, I don't think we can allow Kaladin to guard the king anymore, because of at least how angry the king is at Kaladin.
Yeah,
Like,
but here's the thing: if Kaladin's not defending the king anymore, the king's dead. There's nobody else defending that.
the thing is, though, the assassin's not even really. Well, I guess there's the Moash stuff, but I was gonna say, like, at least they don't have to worry about the like Zath coming after the king. He's more worried about going after Dalinar.
Okay, yeah, but we don't. They don't know that though.
No, Dalinar does. Remember, Seth told Dalinar directly.
Oh,
They
yeah,
just
you're
haven't
right,
told
you're
Elhokar because they didn't want to hurt his feelings about Dalinar constantly being more important than him. So Dalinar and Adolin at least know, if not also Navani, that Dalinar
okay.
is the target.
Still, statement stands. The
Yeah.
king has no clue. So, and I believe the king saw him fight him, right? He saw
Right?
Kaladin fight Zeth. How are you gonna be like, oh yeah, anybody else could fight that?
Also, like, yeah, I think Kaladin I don't remember if it's this chapter or the one where he's in prison, but he brings up the whole fact where he's like, first Amaram is like, oh, I love you for like being such a good guard, and then I'm gonna like hate you and throw you in prison. Like, he's being so like contradictory. Like, I thought you really liked Kaladin as your guard, and now you're gonna like talk about how he's like lesser than you and everyone.
That's the societal norm in this.
Yeah.
Book, honestly.
Yep.
They're a bunch of racists for eyes.
Well, it's more classist, but yeah.
Okay, I think
yeah, it's a mixture
because they created a race issue to be classed.
It's true.
It was definitely racist before that.
Yeah. Anyways, so Dalinar shouts at him to be a soldier, not a child. Kaladin is shocked by Dalinar shouting at him, and Dalinar shouts that he thought they finally had Sadeas cornered, but now he doesn't know. He then thanks Kaladin one more time for helping Adolin before leaving Kaladin alone in the room. And then we switch to Sadeas' point of view.
I really want to see Kaladin break the fuck out of there and just be like, kill Amaranth, and then somehow get back in there and be like, I never left.
I
just died, and now I have a shard blade.
He's breaking in, and Shallan's also in there getting more reconnaissance, and he's like, I'm gonna kill Amaram. She's like, I'm in. I have a shard blade, and then she just stabs him, and then they high five each other.
Exactly, and then later she finds out that Amaram's not the one that killed him.
Yeah.
And she's hurt, and we go through that fucking trauma of bullshit.
And then they stab each other.
But Kaladin can heal from Shardblade attacks, so he's fine.
Oh.
So can't she?
No.
Yeah, she can too.
Oh, can she?
Well, every
he used Stormlight. Yeah, all the it's part of the Stormlight healing. Every order has Stormlight healing.
I thought that was just Kaladin.
Yeah,
no, that's not part of his surges. His surges are gravitation and adhesion. Everyone has the healing factor.
I got other things in my life. I don't remember that shit.
But yeah. So
go ahead.
This
is why I take.
There's like a healing one too, right?
Well, yeah. So yeah, Lift has regrowth, which is kind of like you heal others.
Awesome.
But
it's fucking insane.
It's more like a revival thing.
Well, it's also just healing in general. Like they don't have to be dead for regrowth.
But definitely revived that man.
Yeah, she did.
I find it hilarious. But
yeah, we'll get back to it. But yeah, we switched to Sadeas' point of view.
Never mind. We'll get back to it.
We'll get to it in Left's chapter. So we switched to Sadeas' point of view as he goes into his rooms, thinking that Dalinar had almost gotten to him. He couldn't believe that Adolin had fought off 4 Shardbearers, even with the help of the slave. He refuses to drink any wine as he doesn't want to forget this defeat. Eli comes into the room, and Sadeas says that he needs all of her spies to get him something against Dalinar. He also says that they'll need to make use of her assassins soon after. So what do you think about Sadeas' renewed vigor to take down Dalinar?
Did he really ever stop?
Well, he's like extra like, I want him gone now.
Because he's a threat.
Yep.
Like, he's always been a threat, but now you realized it.
What do you think, Darkness?
This is the moment we've all been waiting for, you know?
Mm-hmm. So we switch
hopefully,
back...
well, I severely doubt that. I don't know. I feel like Sadeas is gonna make it through this book, but...
Oh, you think he's gonna die on another book?
Yeah.
So we switch back to Kaladin's point of view as he is escorted by guards, not bridgemen, through Dalinar's war camp to his prison. The guards are respectful of him and give him a sign to stay strong as they lock him up. Once again, Kaladin tells Syl that this is what comes of trusting Light Eyes. He tells her that he'll never do it again. Kaladin closes his eyes as he is once again in a cage. So what do you think this imprisonment is going to do to Kaladin and Dalinar's relationship?
I don't think it's going to affect it as much as I would hope it would, but mainly because after Syl talked to him, he was a little less angry about Dalinar. Just a little. I do think that he needs to show that he has these powers, though.
Hmm. What do you think,
And
Darkness?
then fight Amaranth for a leadership role.
Mm.
But
Yeah, what do you think,
It'll
Darkness,
be
about?
fine.
You think their relationship will be fine?
Yeah.
Fair.
a little strained, but yeah, fine
I mean,
in the long run. Wait for Amaranth
I
to
was
attack somebody
surprised
that he
when
shouldn't.
he was like, "Oh no, you're right. He's fine. Like he's not as bad or whatever." So I was just like, maybe it won't be that bad,
Hmm. And then we get to our interlude 9, the lift, which was literally, I think, half of our readings for this week. So we get Lift's point of view as she considers the fact that she's about to rob a palace. She glances around from on top of the wall, knowing that most of the buildings were round with small protrusions on the top. 6 men, who were supposedly master thieves, climbed up next to her on the wall, noting that the buildings were all made of bronze. Lift states that they all look like breasts. The men look at her in horror, all of them
When she
Azish.
said that, I thought she literally said breath, like
Nope.
the fucking thing, and then
Yeah.
she explains it later, and I'm
But I
like,
thought you got
oh,
that shit backwards. The one time where it's actually right.
yeah, like, well, I mean, she said Midnight says breasts all the time, so I just assumed.
Wow. The men look at her in horror, all of them Azish, while Lift was Reshi, although she had never been to the Reshi Isles. Hukin, the team leader, then begins discussing how the grounds are empty, as his informant had told him. They climb down to the other side of the wall, onto the palace grounds. Maxon states that everyone is focusing on choosing the new pride, Equazix. Hukin's nephew, who was still in the middle of puberty, was worried about the safety of the job. Hukin isn't happy about his nephew speaking up, but Tigzik states that Boy is right to be cautious. Hukin and Tig go back and forth a bit, but Lift cuts them off, saying that she's hungry and wants to get moving. Hukin doesn't want to listen to her as she's only 12, although Lift insists that she is 10, but Tig states that she'll be useful. So what was your first impressions of Lift?
She was annoying.
You don't like Lift?
She's a child. She's annoying.
I was gonna say, but she's a child, so it makes sense.
I love
She's a
Lift.
child. She's annoying.
Of course you do.
She's
Because
awesome!
She's a child.
But yeah, so I like Lift and her awesomeness.
Every time she called it that, I was like, fuck, girl.
It's like Vin calling her stuff luck before she
Luck.
knew what her Mistborn powers were.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell?
So Lift then notices a man in dark clothing with silver buttons down the street, and she worries that she hadn't lost him after all. She hurries into the palace grounds, and a vine slinks across the ground after her, small glass-like crystals growing out of it in places. The vines form a face and calls Lift Mistress, to which Lift calls it a Voidbringer, which greatly upsets the vine creature. Lift, however,
The
insists...
vine creature. Why, it has a name.
Not yet. Lift insists...
It has a name. It has to.
He will. Lift, however, insists that he is her pet Voidbringer, causing him to sigh. He called himself Windle, and he reluctantly continued to follow Lift as she moved behind a tree made of bronze. He tells Lift that he is a Spren, but Lift hushes him. There were some Aegis officials in the distance with an open-top carriage. So what do you think about Lift referring to her Spren as a Voidbringer?
She's right. It's a Voidbringer for sure.
Mhm.
It's totally a Voidbringer. I mean, like, what else could it be?
What do you think,
Could
Darkness?
be a Sprat. Darkness?
I mean,
Oh, there we go.
they're not far off.
Also, what type of Spren do you think Windle is?
Void sprint.
Void Spren.
Imagine.
A gardening Spren.
He
It's
is...
that.
Hmm?
I was gonna wait.
Hmm.
Is it a life sprint?
No, Life Spren are not sentient Spren.
Okay.
Wait, what? They're not?
No.
Well, the other order thingy or whatever was a light
Oh.
sprint.
Oh, light. Yeah. So I think the truth was it the truth with your spren are not light spren. Light spren's a different one. I think I had confirmed to you that there was a light. Oh no, light spren was I think when we were talking about the will shapers.
Yes.
It was funny that you got a light spren since you're darkness as a will shaper. We have not seen a light spren though.
Have we not? Was it not the shoemaker dude?
No, that was a mist spren, which was the truth watcher spren.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so this is a cultivation spren.
Do we get an explanation on though, like why each Spren is called what they are?
I mean, I think they're called what they are because of what they're attracted to, isn't it? Usually.
Yeah.
Why is it a okay? So why is it a like what was it Wind Spren, but it actually was an Honor Spren or whatever,
Well, so
like
that's because Honor Spren looks similar to Wind Spren. Wind Spren are like little blue like lights and stuff, which still often like turns into like a little blue like streak that like goes through the wind and stuff.
they seemed off from their like thing, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, so she's just similar. She says that the Wind Spren are like her cousins. She's like similar to them. But yeah, like the Spren generally are called by what they're related to, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's what they look like. So just like how like they talk about how I think it's pain Spren look like little hands coming out of the ground. So like they're not called hand Spren even though they're hands. They're called pain Spren because they're attracted to pain. Make sense?
No, but interesting.
Okay.
Nonetheless.
Yeah, so Wendell's a cultivation Spren.
So what are they attracted to? Cultivating?
Yeah, so he's like attracted to like people who are like gardening and stuff. Which is why he was a gardener and he wanted to be.
What if I cultivate souls though?
Yeah, right. Like there's so much different versions of cultivating.
I'm assuming they're probably similar to Life Spren, just like how Honor Spren are similar to Wind Spren.
Because they're bringing life to plants.
Yeah. But he's specifically like drawn to the cultivation of plants, so like human intervention with plants.
I just find it funny later when darkness is more like you were one of two.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know which one you are now. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, because he only knew of her one ability, so he's like, oh, she's either this order or this order because she has the abrasion surge.
A little slidey thing.
Yeah.
I could do that. The fuck?
No, I don't.
Right?
I don't think you have. I don't think you have that ability.
No.
No, I meant in real life.
Oh.
Yeah, like, he's talking about like you can actually do that. Yeah, like people do that all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she says it's kind of like sliding like on ice, but on any surface.
All you need is some like manteca and then just like rub it on your knees and you're good to go.
So Tig and Maxon, who are dressed in fine clothing, head towards the sculpture gardens, where a bunch of fancy people are discussing who the next prime may be. Lift thinks that's a dangerous job, as the assassin White had killed the last two primes. Lift was then left with Hukin's nephew and the two boys with knives, which Lift didn't like, as she thought thieves shouldn't leave bodies, as that was too easy. She then hurries across the bronze yard towards the breast-looking building. As she moves, Wendell grows beside her, complaining that he didn't get to choose Lift, but instead he had wanted an older woman who was a gardener. However, the ring, capitalized, wanted Lift chosen as she had been touched by the old magic, and was moldable as she was young. Lift again hushes him, threatening to go get an exorcism. So, what do you think about Wendell being assigned to Lift by this, like, ring? Whatever that is.
The ring is probably, but like his people, like his council, like the
Like a council of cultivation Spren?
Yeah.
Just a council of all Spren?
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, what do you guys think about the fact that they, specifically chose her?
Well, they made a mistake.
You
Yeah,
think
she's
so?
10. Yeah, she's 10.
Well, they said that she's
straight up-
moldable. She's a child. They're like, we can mold her into being a perfect edge dancer.
Can you though? Now she got a boy. Bring her pet.
Also, what do you think about the fact that Lift has gone to see the old magic, which is the Night Watcher, just like Dalinar has?
It's interesting. The side effects.
Wait, did she see visions too?
Don't know.
I think that's just a side effect of whatever Dalinar asked for.
Wait, what would her side effect be then?
We don't know. We don't know what she asked for. She won't talk to Wendell about it.
I'm saying, like, of the things we know, can we determine what she has as a side effect?
So we know it comes up later, but the two odd things about her are that she can touch Wendell, like she can touch Spren, and that she consumes food and turns it into Stormlight. Those are the two things Wendell says are weird about her.
She's like, I want to be more awesome.
Yeah, and so bam, there you go. But she becomes okay. I have an idea, I think, but like now of what she asked, but what the side effect part of it is, I would assume the side effect part might be related to touching the Spren, and maybe the actual side effect is that she's like partially in the cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was the side effect of whatever she asked for. Yeah.
So once at the building, Lift commands Wendell to create a ladder for her, which she uses to climb up the side of the building towards a window. She then tells Wendell to void bring the window, which causes him to complain that he does all the work. Wendell asks her to spread.
He's not wrong. He does.
Wendell asks her to spread some seeds along the window frame, trying to explain to her what he does, but she just yawns to get him to shut up. Wendell then
doesn't work.
Wendell then goes on to explain Lift's abilities. Her first ability is manipulation of friction, which Lift is apparently already familiar with. So this is called the abrasion surge. So she basically controls friction, I believe.
Interesting.
Her second ability is growth, although she isn't ready for regrowth yet, which is the ability to heal. However, Lift cuts off Wendell's explanation by using her awesomeness to make the seeds grow into plants. The vines grew quickly and moved in and around the window frame until the glass popped out. Wendell congratulates her and says they'll make an edge dancer out of her yet. Lift just focuses on the fact that she's hungry, as she isn't as awesome when she's hungry. Wendell claims her powers came from him, but Lif thinks that is something a Voidbringer would lie about. Although she had captured him using words, as they say as that was the only way to capture a Voidbringer. So Lif's surge of growth and regrowth is actually called the progression surge. So just like how Kaladin and Zeth like refer to like some of their powers as lashings, like her kind of progression surge is like growth and regrowth. So there's like abilities within it, but it's progression basically is the overall title of it. But yeah, what do you think about her progression surge and how like she can make these like plants grow how she wants them to like pop out a window or something?
I mean, honestly, from this time, I'm just gonna call her Poison Ivy, but that's exactly what she does. All about the plants.
Her having
really care
knowledge
about
of
it,
fauna
though.
in general would be insane.
Yep.
Flora.
Yeah, flora. Fauna is animals.
Mm-hmm.
So once inside the room, Lif glances out the window and hopes that she had lost Darkness. Stop
No.
following her, Darkness.
Yeah, Darkness, did she lose you?
You stalking this child, Darkness?
Okay, that sounded really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
She said she was 12.
That
That's
sounds
not
really
better.
bad, Darkness.
But yeah, she hopes that she
Darkness,
lost.
why are you following this child now, Darkness? You're gonna have to explain. Court of law.
What do you mean? Clearly, I'm there to.
Kill her.
What are you doing to this child, Darkness?
Oh no.
But yeah, she hopes she had lost Darkness with his black and silver suit and pale crescent birthmark on his face. She thinks that he surely couldn't have followed her all the way from Meribethia. She then ties a rope around a closet doorknob and feeds it out through the window to the men to climb up. She overhears them wondering how she had gotten up on her own. Lif complains to the men that there are only moldy shoes in the room, but Hukin states that they're here to steal the fancy clothing, as everything else would be too well guarded. So do you guys recognize where we've seen Darkness before?
The scar? The silver scar and shit?
Mm-hmm. We've seen Darkness 2 other times. Where do you guys remember the 2 other times we have seen Darkness?
Nope.
I'm trying to think now because I didn't even remember the fucking scar, to be honest.
So the scar is technically a hint to one of them. The stalking around in dark clothing against someone who has powers is another hint for the other time we've seen him.
No, I'm trying to think of what the scar would go to, but...
So the easier to remember one is he is the one who killed Yim, the Truth Watcher, in one of the other interludes in the previous book. He was the guy skulking around in the shadows to the shoemaker guy. He killed him.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That's one of the times that we've seen Darkness before, is he's been going around killing potential Radiance. And the other time...
very Voidbringer.
Yeah, and then the
It's
other...
a Voidbringer, though.
The other time we've seen him was during the prologue of this book, when Yasna is coming back from her meeting with the assassin to go see her father again. We run into 2 foreign diplomats who are talking about weird things. They're talking about blades and how they saw someone with their master's old blade, and one of the foreign diplomats has a crescent-shaped scar on his face. So there's these shady foreign diplomats that Yasna doesn't recognize, and one of them is Darkness. So he was there on the night that Gavilar was killed.
Who's Gavilar again?
Dalinar's brother
Galenar's
who died.
brother.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's been a long time to...
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long without you.
Oh my god. Darkness.
So yeah, they're technically the ones that said that there was something going down. So she saw them right before she heard the screams and went and found her dad dead, being killed by the assassin.
I still was him.
Maybe,
So yeah,
yeah.
he's a...
So, wait, so was it actually him and not?
No, it wasn't him, but he was there for some reason. And they seem to have been talking about Zeth, the 2 foreign diplomats. And we don't know who the other guy is. Just that one of them was Darkness, who's going around killing Radiance now, 6 years later.
Makes sense.
Sure, he wasn't doing it before though.
I mean, he might have been. We don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was there to kill Zeth.
Maybe. So the men...
Says that Darkness the way she says that. Maybe. Who knows?
He wasn't very good at it if he was trying to kill Zeth.
Have you met Zeth though? Come on.
So the men then leave Lift and the nephew in the first room and ask them to listen for the warning. The teen asks Lift if it's weird being away from her people, but Lift replies that she grew up in the City of Shadows and not in the Reshi Isles. Lift then heads out into the hallway, which is also made of bronze, except for a red and blue rug, and the nephew calls out that they should stay where they have been told to. However, Lift thinks it'd be much better to explore, plus she wants to find some food. She's surprised when the teen boy follows her out into the hallway.
There's another possible side effect. She's always hungry.
Well, it's because she keeps using
I
up the
know.
food in her stomach. Like, I think they say at one point that Wendell's constantly like, you're getting malnourished because you're using up too much of the food supply in your body.
So if she were overweight, she'd be great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If she was anybody else, yeah.
She wasn't like a starving like
She was-
urchin on the streets.
I'm starting to believe this book promotes like
anorexia.
no, the opposite actually.
Being overweight.
Yeah, because high blood pressure would do great with sharp blades.
It would.
Except if you're not fit, you're not going to fight very well.
But that's okay, because then you could just use shark plate.
Shark plate. Yep.
Sharp plate. But yeah, as they walk,
The only one who can use that is Alucard, though.
Adolin, you mean?
Adolin, whatever the fuck his dumbass name is. Motherfucker didn't even stand up for the guy who saved his ass.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, we don't know. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen his
What do you
reaction.
mean we don't know?
Maybe he says
How
that
did
to
he
his
get-
dad or the
He
king.
He was
We
on
don't
the
know.
spot.
Yeah, but how did he go to prison at all? Like, how did he ever get caught if Adolin was there to help him?
As they
They were
walk,
like, I want that boon too, you know?
Yeah, and then Adolin was like, man, you outshining me. Fuck you.
As they walk, the boy explains to Lith that the important people here are likely reviewing essays by people applying to be the Prime. She also learns that the boy's name is Gox, after he comments on her talking to herself. As they continue, Lift
Gawking
wishes
for sure. I said, yeah, he was gawking for sure.
Lift wishes to use her awesomeness to slide across the floor. However, Wendell had warned her about using it so often, as apparently she was at risk for malnutrition. They hide in a closet as some servants go past, and Lift recommends that Gox go back upstairs and wait for his uncle, as the man will likely leave them if he goes back to the room and they aren't there. Plus, she doesn't want to use her awesomeness around Gox. So what do you think about the process to become Prime and how you have to, like, apply via essay?
Sounded really stupid to me. Especially later when they're actually reviewing it and they're like, nobody wants to be it because the last one died.
Last
So they're
two
all
died.
yeah, whatever. They're making, bad essays on purpose. And before they even said it in the audiobook, I was like, yeah, so go for the person who's making the absolute worst one.
Yeah, and then one doesn't suggest that.
Yeah, I was like, well, hey, at least somebody's thinking.
So Gox insists.
I honestly thought she was going to go in there and become the next Prime. So I mean, it kind of did happen at the same time, but like I was just like, she's going to go in there and they're going to be like, this woman, she's got to be the Prime.
I thought she was gonna volunteer to be the Prime when she was getting fucked up, but
I'll be Prime. Let me be Prime. They're like, she is Prime. You cannot murder her.
right, that's exactly what I thought would happen.
So Gox insists on following Lift, however, as he wants to impress his uncle. Lift then follows a servant into a secret hallway for servants, but after a moment of consideration and conversing with Wendell, she chooses to go back into the main hallways. Suddenly, they run into a man in white and black, causing Gox to hide, but Lift acts like she's supposed to be there. She claims to be getting berry cake for the mistress, causing the man to grumble and tell Lift to go to the kitchens to see if the cook will make some. Once the man had left...
excuse ever. Greatest excuse ever.
Once the man had left, Gox meets back up with Lift as they continue down the hallway. He mentions that he had memorized the maps of the palace and that he'd also been here once before to watch the Prime sleep. Apparently, you could come watch the Prime sleep, eat, and do other everyday tasks. Lift calls it creepy.
Yeah, I agree with her.
Eventually, Lift reveals that her main purpose here is to steal some food to eat, as any money she makes just goes towards food anyways. Gox calls her strange and then goes off on his own to try and find something to steal. So what do you think about Lift's reason for being in the palace to steal food?
I mean, knowing her, yeah, makes sense. Especially since apparently, people's food is tastier.
Mm-hmm.
Which also makes sense.
They can afford all the good spices and food.
Yeah, they can afford the good food.
If she inhales more calories, right?
Does it help her Stormlight? Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. Honestly,
Yeah, I believe she can use. Basically, the more food she eats, the more Stormlight she has in her.
just basically.
No, but
basically,
no,
like
like-
Nico.
yeah, no, but like I'm saying, it's like, is it food quantity or is it the calories?
I think it's calories.
Because at that point, just jam pack the most fucking gross calorie like.
Yeah, but she's a kid. She doesn't want to do it that way. She wants to eat good food.
But can you imagine though? That'd be insane.
Eat just a ton of like high-calorie protein bars.
I mean,
Just
obviously, it
go eat
doesn't
ice
take too
cream.
much. Obviously, it doesn't take too much because she sure as heck.
With half a dinner roll?
She ate a dinner roll, and all of a sudden, it was like she was somehow powerful again.
Mhm.
Don't take much.
So Wendell asks Lift why she came with these men instead of on her own, to which Lift replies that Tig had told her what day would be good to come, so she owed it to him. Wendell asks why she cares, and Lift just replies that someone has to care. Lift eventually comes to a narrow hallway with a well-guarded door. She notices a small edge around the top of the hallway, and she climbs Wendell to get up to it. As she inches along the ledge, Wendell mentions that people can't see him because some friends struggle to show themselves to others, while some have the opposite problem. Which is the difference between Syl and Pattern. Pattern can't hide himself well, and Syl can't show herself very well.
Wait, what? Pattern? I thought nobody could really see Pattern unless he wanted them to.
No, he just hides on her dress. He's constantly visible.
Oh, is he? Oh,
Yeah, she just wears like really patterned dresses and stuff so that he can blend in.
He hit himself all the time, low-key, too.
Yeah, I did too.
Nope.
Like, especially when the one dude was fighting Pattern or whatever, and like.
And, I thought Syl got seen a lot of the times. I know she got invisible.
Nope,
Right.
Syl's always invisible except to Rock. Unless she like specifically shows herself.
Wait.
No, but I feel like she
also-
does, though, and that's why I'm
Wasn't,
like, okay.
wasn't somebody else also able to see her though? I thought.
I think it's just Rock.
Nuh-uh.
I was almost positive there
I
was
thought it was
somebody else
Ted.
No,
I
Tef
know
doesn't
Rock-
see her.
that's here.
She specifically shows herself to people sometimes, but like she doesn't do it for very long, and it's only in certain instances. So like she doesn't do it for long periods of time. She just sometimes like will appear to them and then she like disappears again. They don't like
So
constantly
she's
see
also
her.
classes.
Jesus.
So yeah, so Wendell's more like Syl in the fact that like he's almost always invisible to people and like has to like really concentrate to show himself.
By the way, this whole like section that we read
Mm.
really made me dislike Syl even more, and I don't.
Why?
Think I got it. She's annoying.
Yeah.
She's really annoying.
Well, I do. So the thing that I've gotten out of these chapters, aside from how kind of weird list is, like was when Darkness starts talking about some things. Like he almost seems like he's forced to do things,
Mm.
like kind of like the way Syl is
Seth?
like not
Oh.
forcing Kaladin to do it. Oh, I have a theory on Zeth too, but not like she's not like forcing him to do so, but like she heavily implies not to go against his oaths and not to do this.
Mhm.
Where it seems as if Darkness might have an oath as well, and his is just like he can't he can't break it at all. Like when they're talking about when he says like it was decreed or something, and then they're
He's always
He
talking about
can't-
the law. He's always like
Yeah.
here's the paperwork. I have like the right to like find her and execute her. You can't kill Gox because that's against the law, so you're gonna be punished. When the Prime pardons her, he's like, well, I guess I gotta leave her because that's the law now.
Yep. Yeah,
Just
like
wanna-
Wait, so what's the law-abiding freaking Surgebind thing?
yeah, he's beholden
Uh,
to the law.
So I just
you know?
want to we'll make a little comment from, if you remember in the final chapter, Kaladin and Syl talk a little bit before Witch shows up, and he's like, I could break out, and she's, even though it's illegal, and she's like, I don't care about the law, I only care about what's right, I'm not a high spren.
Well, yeah, that's why I started thinking about it, because he starts like, but that's what I'm saying though. It seemed more like Kaladin seems like he has free will about it. Like he could break it, he could just not do what Syl wants. But this dude seems
Yes.
like he has to do it. If he doesn't, like there would be possibly dire consequences or something. Like it's very odd to me. It's almost like he's robotic enough that like he's forced to do so.
Or it might
has
just be
no free-
psychological issues.
It could be. It could also just be the fact that he's been with this for so long that he kind of like he knows if he goes against it, something bad happens. And
Maybe
so he's just-
he's scared of breaking routines.
Anyways, yeah,
It's
we'll get
just very
to
weird.
Darkness again in a little bit, but so Wendell also mentions that no one can touch him except for Lift, but she shouldn't be able to touch him either. Wendell asks what she asked of his mother, but she doesn't reply. So what do you think about
cultivation. Yeah, okay. Which is cultivation.
the thing is though he asked what she asked of Mother, and the thing is we don't get told that Cultivation's in charge of these old magic things. The Night Watcher is specifically in charge of the old magic. So do you think the Night Watcher is Cultivation, or do you think he just maybe like the Night Watcher is like, because Syl calls the Stormfather her dad, and so he's also
There's
not like
two different gods on almost every one of these planets. So
hmm Well, I mean, there's technically
Cultivation
three here.
and whatever. Shush! I said on every planet. Okay, every planet, not just this planet specifically. This planet's just an outlier.
Well, Warbreaker only has one.
No, it had to.
No, only has endowment.
It had the other one though.
No, that was Elantris. That has
No,
two.
I thought you said there was another one that was on Warbreaker, but it was like
No.
broken or whatever.
No, no. Warbreakers only ever had
No?
endowment.
Oh, I thought they had two.
No.
I thought they had two. It was just like it had shattered or something. Like I don't know what. Maybe
No,
that's
Warbreaker has only ever had one. Elantris has had two, but both of them are shattered. Threnody only had one as well, but it shattered. That was Ambition. We've been told that Honor is dead, which is on this planet. And then there's also Cultivation.
Why
and
is Honor
Odium.
dead but not shattered?
They call him
But-
dead. I think Splintered is like the same. Shattered, Splintered is like kind of the same as him being dead.
But-
They just
I don't
say
believe it.
okay.
call it dead
Didn't
here.
they say that? Didn't they also say the in whatever the fuck? It wasn't Elantris.
Okay.
Mistborn? Did they say that whatever the other one that was in the realm wasn't they? Did they also believe that that was dead?
Preservation. Preservation was currently
That's
dying. He was not fully
Okay.
dead yet. He
He
was
was-
dying.
Okay. I thought they said he was dead, but yeah.
No, he was in the process
he
of
was
dying.
in-
He said, well, he like sometimes said Ruin had killed me, but then he also said like the process takes a very long time, so I'm technically still here at the moment. And that's why like whenever he talked to Kelsier in Secret History, he was like kind of like not quite all there, and he was like his body was like disintegrating. Because I think also he specifically says that Ruin had killed him, but it wasn't as easy to splinter him as like I think like in Arcanum Unbound or something. It talks about how like Ruin killed Preservation in a way that was much slower than how Odium fully has like splintered and shattered other shards.
Okay.
So there's like multiple ways it sounds like to kill a shard, and one of them is a very slow process, like with Preservation, and some of them are like very quick sudden events, like Odium killing Ambition.
What if I eat one?
I don't think you can eat a shard.
I mean,
You told me you can't consume a shard.
I
Wait.
don't. Not the way that just like eating it like a normal person. If you can somehow consume
Why
all
not?
the power, but like the power is like very vast.
She can eat fucking investiture. Why can't I eat a shard?
yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the same reason why Nightblood could not fully consume a shard. I don't think he'd be able to. Like it's too much investiture. You'd get
Nightblood can't consume a shard.
no, it'd be too much investiture. You'd get full eventually.
Okay, but what would happen if you
Cheating.
push through that?
I don't know. I don't know if you could.
What is your theory on what would
What do
happen?
you just ascend?
I don't. Well, you can ascend. Ascending is kind of different than like eating the investiture. I do not believe something could consume.
Wait, so you can't ascend if you just like swallow as much investiture as you can?
I think it would have to be well, because the thing is, you have to be connected originally to the shard in order to take up the power.
You
Okay,
do?
let's say you are then.
Wait, whoa. You do?
Yeah, that's-
Because
Yeah,
Will has taken powers that he wasn't. Not Will.
which,
Wit. Yeah, Wit. Wit took powers that he wasn't like
He didn't-
directly invested to.
no, you can have the powers, but you, in order to take up the actual shard, you would need to be
Oh,
fully
okay,
connected
I got
to
you.
the shard's power.
Well, I mean, technically, right? He comes from that original planet, right? Already,
Yola,
whatever.
yeah.
Right?
He's connected to all of them.
I mean, he might
He
be,
comes-
for all we know.
That's what I'm saying. He was made by Adonesium or whatever. Right?
Yes, Adonalsium, yeah.
So he's connected to him, and he's just shattered, but he's connected to all the powers regardless.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, that we haven't gone into enough about because we don't really get a lot of Wit or Hoyd point of views. Like we don't know if he technically could just take up any shard because of that.
Man,
I'm saying he can.
when he showed up to Kaladin and was just and Kaladin was like, "How'd you get here?" He's like, "The door." I was like, "Bullshit."
I came in through the door.
No,
You
but
did
dude,
not.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
You think he came through the door?
Yeah,
I think people
I
know
don't-
not to fuck with Wit. The guard would have been just like, I'm just gonna ignore this.
exactly.
I don't think he went through the door. I think this dude appeared.
Anyways, we'll get to that. Let's continue getting through
Right.
this chapter here.
Mm-mm,
Wait, we'll
mm-mm.
get to that. I thought that was the last chapter.
No,
Or last
hold
chapter.
on. My bad. Hold on.
You eating?
Mm-mm.
Sounds like you are.
He really
Mm-mm.
is. He is.
So I remembered I had pie waiting for me. Anyway,
Oh, you know what? I have food waiting for me too.
So-
all right, keep going.
personally, I think that Night Watcher person,
Night Watcher.
friend thing, is like
Yep.
Mew from Pokemon.
Mm.
Mew.
Like the creator of all, like the like
That's
first
not the
one.
creator of
She's not. It's not the creator though.
No,
not
it's
the
like the
creator of
first
all.
one. Or something.
Yeah, it's the basis of like all
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. Okay. I can that I can say, but it wasn't the first one. Mew is Mewtwo. Mew and Mewtwo are not the first Pokemon.
Was that
Technically,
Mew supposed to be-
Arceus is.
Well, I mean, in their original lore before Arceus was a thing, I think Mew was supposed to have been like the first Pokemon. But yeah, so you think the Night Watcher is
It
like
was-
kind of the origin of all?
I don't think it was labeled as the first one, by the way. I think it
No.
was labeled as the.
It has like the DNA of like all Pokemon or something. in
Yeah,
it.
that's why. Anyway, but yeah,
Anyway,
Do you think the Night Watcher is like some big like important like Spren? Do you think they're like more
it's a mama
powerful? Do you think they're more powerful than the Stormfather then, or do you think they're like equal?
Yes.
Or
I wonder if the Stormfather is just another Spren too.
what
the
if they're all
Stormfather is
the-
a type of Spren. Yes.
What if they're
Right,
just
okay,
all
so
the same person?
It's the mama and the papa. You know?
Do you think the Stormfather and the Night Watcher are like the parents of all other Spren?
Yes, and I must say the Stormwatchers come from like the Stormwatcher derives from honor,
cultivation.
and then the other one derives from cultivation. Yeah.
That makes sense. They're like the Adam of Eve of Spren. Okay, where were we? So Lif then waits until a guard comes running, telling the other guards in front of the door that some thieves have made their way into the palace. Lif uses the distraction to sneak into the room and then becomes awesome, sliding along the floor as if it was ice. She stops herself under the large table that the men and women were at. Wendell begins to talk again, mentioning that Lif seems to be partially in the cognitive realm, which is why she can touch Spren. He also mentions how she can somehow metabolize food into Stormlight. So what do you think about the fact, like, what do you think is causing like her to be able to metabolize food into Stormlight?
She's got a stomach bug.
Do you think it's the old Maddie that specifically did that, or do you think she's got like some other ability, or do you think like it's an edge dancer thing, or because Wendell seems confused by it. He wasn't obviously
I
expecting
don't
her
think
to be
it's
able
an
to do
edge
that.
dancer thing. I don't
It's
think it's an edge
it's
dancer thing.
the it's the mama Spren.
The Night Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's the old magic that did it to her?
Yes.
Do you think it's related to the fact that it seems like she's partially in the cognitive realm, or do you think it's like a separate side effect?
You know, I think it's related. Definitely.
Do you think because she's partially in the cognitive realm, she can metabolize food into Stormlight? Just because of her like
I think
relation?
that because the old magic touched her in a specific way, she's part
Oh
of
my
the
God.
cognitive realm,
Darkness.
and that's why it's happening. But yeah,
Darkness, what are you doing? Context. Context. She's a 12-year-old child.
So the men and women at the table above Lift talk about each other's essays, insisting others had better essays than they did. Wendell continues speaking to Lift, mentioning that Mother had given up on Lift's kind now that he was gone. The people above kept talking, mentioning how everyone had been writing bad essays on purpose as they didn't want to be Prime in case Zeth came back to kill again. One of them suggests accepting the worst essay as it shows how good they were at writing to be able to write the worst one.
Exactly what I said.
So first of all, what do you think it means that Mother had given up on humans now that he is gone?
I have no idea. But I mean, give up on humans. They're worthless as it is. So
mm-hmm.
What do you think, Darkness? Who do you think the he is that's gone?
Honor
yeah. No. No.
or Storm Daddy.
Yeah. Storm
Well,
Daddy.
Storm Daddy's
Yeah.
still around.
No, he's not.
I mean,
He's gone.
he's definitely still around. He's spoken to Kaladin a couple times.
I'm sorry, did you say Storm Daddy's
No.
still around?
Yeah, people call him that on like Reddit and stuff too. That's a very common name for him.
I mean, hey, Darkness, you're wearing her down, right? So
The storm.
we all know you
Father.
said it first. We all know you said it first, Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So Leth then notices another table that has food on it. Above it were paintings of the heralds, and one of the heralds had their faces scratched off. What do you think about the fact? You guys,
That's the one
remind you of
that's the
anything?
one that betrayed that one betrayed everybody. Yep.
Uh,
It's just like Judas from.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
the one of the heralds has their faces scratched off in one of the paintings.
Wonder why.
Is the
Remember
motherfucker that got left behind?
Could be the
Right.
Voidbringer.
Well, do you remember how that there was this woman who was destroying like artwork of of like a herald? It was one of the female heralds though.
Honestly, I didn't remember that, to be honest, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure this is a reference of like, oh, this woman's been here too, defacing more fucking artwork of the heralds. But she only ever destroys one of the herald. I'm trying to remember. Does it tell us? Did it tell us in the first book which herald they were destroying?
I'll look it up for you, don't worry.
No, it's fine. Number 3 is. I think all we know is that it's one of the female heralds that she's destroying images of. So it's not the guy who got left behind that she's destroying images of. It's one of the others.
Mm.
So the door opens, and Lift takes this as a good distraction to get to the food table, thinking that it was a guard coming to say they had caught Gox. Lift thinks she'll have to go break him out later. Instead, it was Darkness. Lift grabs a bread roll, biting into it as she began to run. She dashed into a room beyond and got hit by one of Darkness's minions.
Yeah,
Lift-
darkness.
Lift uses the bit of bread she had eaten to turn into Stormlight and heal her. She tries to escape again, but Darkness pulls out a bound creature with wings that somehow sucks the Stormlight out of Lift. So what do you think about this?
It's so badass.
So what do you think about this bound, sickly creature that looks like a Kremling with wings?
That's exactly what Darkness said that Kaladin should do.
That's just a demon.
Think it's a
Damn.
demon? We ever seen any other Kremlings with wings?
You.
I mean, I agree. Definitely you.
Sil?
No, she's not a Kremling. She doesn't have wings.
She looks like a gremlin.
You look like a gremlin.
We didn't meet anyone who was gifted a little creature with wings.
Nope.
That you guys thought
No
was
idea what you're
super
talking
fucking cool.
I do remember that.
Nope. No idea what you're talking about. Definitely not that little dragon thing. No. No.
Alright, well, guess we'll never know what the sickly creature is then.
Yeah.
You are the
Definitely
sickly creature.
It's definitely not that little dragon like creature that was adorable and I don't know.
So
I
Lift
don't
felt
remember what that woman's name was.
risen.
The one with the giant turtle lion island?
Yeah. So Lift felt extremely tired and hungry after having her Stormlight removed, and she
Same.
thrashes to try to free herself.
Yeah, I know, right? Same.
But Darkness just yanks her up. Wendell points
Yeah,
out
Darkness.
Stop being so mean to the child, Darkness.
Oh,
She deserves it.
Wendell
She went
point-
against the law.
I mean,
But-
Darkness doesn't like children in general, so
Darkness is a child.
that's why he doesn't like them.
They're taking my spotlight.
Exactly.
Wendell points out the half-eaten bread roll on the ground, but he's unable to bring it to her, and she's unable to escape to get to it. The Vizier, who is going through Darkness's paperwork, seems upset to notice that the paperwork agrees to execution as the punishment. Lift panics more, but is unable to use any of her abilities. As they are leaving, the Vizier nudges the table into Darkness's assistant, who is holding Lift now, to try to give her the
I
ability to break
found
free.
so ridiculous
Just-
that this person is helping her,
Well, he just doesn't like the thought of, executing a child
but still,
for just trying to steal some food.
isn't that going against the law?
Well, I think
Shouldn't
technically...
you murder him?
I think technically the law probably isn't to just execute people. I think he's gotten some special permission to execute her.
But isn't it going against this dude's Darkness's law? You know, should he execute this man?
Apparently not. But yeah, the guy says it was an accident. But
Yeah.
this kind of nudge allows Lift to get the bread roll into her mouth before being captured again, causing Darkness to seem confused.
All this for just some bread?
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? As they walk down the hallway, Darkness's assistants remove the spheres in the hallway lamps and then return them once Lift has passed. Lift has no idea why they're doing this, but they think she can draw on Stormlight, which she doesn't seem to be able to do normally. So they're just trying to keep her from getting any more Stormlight. She's like, what the fuck are they doing?
Stealing?
Lift doesn't understand why as she waits for her body to begin metabolizing the bread she'd eaten. She ends up in a room with Gox, where a guard slaps him for lying about having accomplices. Suddenly, Lift is awesome again, and she slips out of the grasp of the person holding her. Wendell cheers as he follows her. She glances back to see Darkness glowing faintly, and she realizes that he also has awesomeness. She gets to her feet and begins running towards the kitchens, Darkness chasing after her. So what do you think about Darkness being able to use Stormlight when he seems to be specifically trying to kill off people who can use Stormlight?
He's a Voidbringer. Duh.
He's on a different faction, yeah.
It's the same. All right, so I mean, we haven't gotten to the next chapter with what's her nuts, but
It's her nuts.
yeah, I never remember that
Eshonai.
girl's name. Yeah, that one. But it reminds me her transformation and all of that. It reminded me a lot of Darkness and the way that he acts, and it made me think maybe they're the void, like he's a void bringer. I hate using that word because honestly, it doesn't really make sense. But that he's a void bringer, and it's like not an evil spren, but like a tainted spren, I guess is the best way to put it. In some way or shape or form. Or the other option I had was that it might be, and this kind of leads into the Zeth idea I have, that when they break their oath to the spren itself, after either a certain time or just in general, they become either Voidbringers or Seth is what was truthless or
Truthless.
yeah. That's the idea I have.
I see. So Lift then grabs a sausage as she runs through the kitchen. Darkness shoving past cooks and maids to follow.
Having a sausage, you little 12-year-old child.
She's just trying to get away at this point and runs as much as she can while Wendell complains about what has become of his life, as he used to be a wonderful crystal gardener that that Cryptics and Honorspren came to see. She ended up looping back around to where she had been before and barely dodges one of Darkness's minions with a shard blade. Liv figures that Darkness is after Wendell since shard blades are made to kill Voidbringers, but she states that
Darkness
she won't.
isn't that good of a shot, anyways.
But she states that she won't allow them to have Wendell, as he is hers. He calls it both insulting and endearingly loyal. However, she has to pull up fast when another minion comes out, holding a knife to Gox's throat. Lift tries to call the minion's bluff, but as she darts forward, the man slits Gox's throat. Lift is horrified.
Seems so, confused about why he did it.
Lift is horrified, and Darkness criticizes the man for doing that when he had not filled out the proper paperwork. The man asks if they are not above the law, and Darkness replies that the law is everything, and says the man will be properly punished. Lift runs away, grabbing another bread roll, but she can't stop thinking of Gox. She pauses in her escape, and Wendell asks why she cares, and she replies because someone has to. So what do you think about them, just killing Gox?
I mean, as soon as they were they had put a knife to his throat, I was like, she's gonna say that, she's not gonna, she's gonna be like, oh, I don't care about that person, and they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, go. I knew that was coming. I didn't know the next part was coming, but I definitely knew that was coming. When he got caught, I was like, he's dead.
What do you think, Darkness? Were you expecting them to kill Gox?
It happened very fast.
It did. They're like, I'm gonna kill him. And Lift's like, nah, you're not gonna kill a kid. They're like, yeah, I am.
In my head, I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, call that bluff. And then all of a sudden,
personally, I would have done it regardless if they were gonna do it or not. Just cause fuck you.
Yeah, because Gox is annoying. Yeah, I know.
Also, what do you think about Darkness being so firm in law? So he's not upset that they killed Gox. He's upset that they killed him without filing the proper paperwork first.
So he has a lost friend.
I mean, still kind of claims that Hive Spren are the ones that follow laws.
Whatever. He has a lost friend.
A lawyer.
Yeah, he should be a lawyer.
Yeah, what do you think, Darkness, about the whole, Darkness is this is, you're only allowed to do things as long as it follows the law.
What do you think about Darkness?
That's pretty.
Pretty?
That's pretty.
Yeah, I bet it is.
I mean, we know there's gonna be limitations now. So.
You guys want a picture of Darkness?
Yes.
I already know what Darkness looks like. What are you talking about?
I'm here seeing me when? Monday?
Yeah, Monday. So I don't need. I'll see Darkness when I see him.
This is Darkness.
Yeah, looks about the same.
Oh my god, that's not me. He's bald.
He's bald, black. Yep, nice.
Oh god.
There's another one of them here.
Okay, now that's a much better picture.
Scary.
I want to put that as my background. Holy shit!
You like that picture of Darkness?
That's a cool ass picture of Darkness. Holy fuck! For such a bad guy, that's a really cool picture.
Yeah, he's pretty badass looking. Yeah, so Lift turns and runs back.
You would never expect that man to be murdering 12-year-olds.
And old men. Old shoemakers.
And 12-year-olds.
Yep. Lift turns and runs back up and into the palace and back towards where Gox lay in a pool of blood. She kneels beside him and thinks the words, I will remember those who have been forgotten, before pressing her forehead to his and breathing out Stormlight. The Stormlight hovers in front of Gox's mouth before being sucked into him. Darkness grabs her, pulling her away as Gox comes back to life, and Darkness calls her an edge dancer. So what do you think about Lift bringing Gox back to life?
That's pretty cool.
The moment she did it, I was like, all these people are going to be like, oh, she's a badass, and we're going to make her whatever the heck it is.
Prime.
Yeah, Prime, thank you. And then they completely flipped the script on me. I was like, what?
Like, no, he's the one who came back to life. He's Prime.
Yeah, interestingly enough, she didn't have the subscriptions.
Also, what did you think of Lift's ideal?
Right.
I will remember those who have been forgotten.
Seems very interesting.
It's interesting how we already know she has all the words and shit. Not all the words, but you know what I mean.
Because the whole time she's been like, Wendell's been like, why do you care? And she's like, someone has to care. So she's here to remember those who have been forgotten. She cares about the people who are forgotten in life.
She thinks about me? Aww.
Also, do you think that was her second or third ideal?
Second.
Third.
You think it was her third, Darkness?
Yeah.
I think it was her second.
Wait, how many are there? There's 5, right?
There's 5. And the first one is always the life before death one.
That's her third.
You think it's her third? You think she said other words before before this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's her second. Well, what's Kaladin's?
Kaladin's done 2 so far.
Yeah, but what are they?
I mean, the first one's the life before death one, which everyone says, and then his second one was, I will protect those who could not protect themselves.
Yeah, okay. I think it's the second.
Do you think she's like same level as Kaladin now?
Well, technically, this feels like this was before Kaladin figured that out. So
Well, no, because Kaladin's been a guard now for a few months, so they probably. I think she would have gotten this ideal after around the same time or after.
I thought Zeth murdered these people before.
He murdered them after Kaladin became part of Dalinar's guard, but before they attacked Dalinar.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Never mind. I thought he.
No, because Taravangian got a hold of Zeth right at the end of the first book. So he started killing people, like, at the beginning of the second book, this book, which is when Kaladin was already a guard for Dalinar and, like, starting his duties with that.
Time frames are hard.
Yeah. So I doubt this is more than, like, a month prior to where we are with everyone else. If not, it's the exact same time as we are currently. So Lith then asks why he is after her when there are much more evil criminals out there. But Darkness replies that he needs to stop those who dabble in the arts that could cause a desolation. She says that she did something good by healing Gox, but Darkness replies
All of a sudden, he's a good guy.
But Darkness replies that goodness doesn't matter. Darkness raises his blade until suddenly someone calls out that Lift is pardoned. Gox runs up, still covered in blood, and thrusts a piece of paper at Darkness as he claims to pardon Lift as Prime Aquazix. The Viziers state that as he performed a miracle by coming back to life, he has been named Prime. So what do you think about Darkness claiming that Lift dabbles in arts that brings back desolations?
A Radiant.
So he obviously thinks that these powers, becoming like a Knight's Radiant or like a Surge Binder, is going to bring a desolation. Which seems to be why he's killing people.
Kind of agree with him. Definitely seems like it's a bad thing.
But the thing is, he apparently also has the ability to use Stormlight.
Yeah, so, I mean, hypocrite. He's a hypocrite, it's all good.
Or maybe he's just got a Shardblade that is
Zeth?
You think maybe he's got like an Honor Blade, and that's why he can use Stormlight?
There you go.
Yeah, but it doesn't explain why he's so adamant about, like, the law, in my opinion, but...
So Darkness releases Lift as she had been pardoned. He praises the Herald of Kings and states that may he rule in wisdom if he ever stops drooling. He then bows to Gox before leaving as the Viziers wonder when constables were allowed shard blades. Lift congratulates Gox for being Prime and asks if she can eat his dinner. So what do you think about Darkness insulting a Herald here? He's like
the Heralds very much.
He's like, praise his ear, Herald of Kings, may he rule in wisdom if he ever stops drooling.
Child. It's a baby.
He obviously doesn't think much of the Heralds. What do you think, Darkness, about his insult of the Herald there?
Maybe it's like, you know how some children don't like their parents because of all past bullshit? Maybe he's just salty that their papa left.
Maybe.
Or mama, depending.
Yeah, the Herald went out for milk, you know?
Right, and never came back.
So then we get Interlude 10, Zeth. So we move to the point of view of Zeth Sansan Villano, Truthless of Shinovar, as he contemplates the end of all things.
Wasn't that a very short chapter?
It was. It's like 3 pages.
Yeah,
they're all very That's why I barely remember it.
I love how epic the starts of his chapters are. They're always like so dramatic. As he contemplates the end of all things. The voices of the people he had killed whisper at him, although they scream if he closes his eyes, so he blinks as little as possible. He was currently on the tallest tower in the world, hidden away in the mountains. It was the only place where you were allowed to walk on the stones. This place, Ur-Thiru, was holy. Although he had enjoyed the sunlight, he did not look up towards the god of gods. Ur-Thiru was 100 levels, each level getting smaller and smaller, so they all had western-facing balconies. The eastern side had no balconies, but had large glass windows facing the origin. So what do you think about the fact that Zeth has found Ur-Thiru, the place that Yasna was hoping to find?
Which means Yasna was a failure, you know?
He found it from a friend of a friend. No, but it makes sense that he's the one that knows, considering how little we know about him in general.
I mean, he's obviously been able to fly there, so it sounds like flying there is the best way to get there.
Which is interesting, because who else can fly?
Kaladin.
Lopin. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Lopin too. Lopin too. Lopin definitely can fly.
I miss Lopin.
I also miss Lopin.
So Zethan thinks about how he had been called truthless for raising the alarm, but he had been told that the Knights Radiant had fallen and the Voidbringers were gone. Zeth then screams out, asking if he had not been loyal, and what it means if they were wrong to call him truthless. It would mean the truth meant nothing, and his oaths were meaningless. So what do you think about Zeth being made truthless for saying the Knights Radiant and the Voidbringers were coming back?
He looked into the future. And he was labeled a no-no, because looking into the future is bad.
Looking into the futures of the Voidbringers.
No, it's of ruin.
No, it's of the Voidbringers.
No,
Talking into people's heads is of ruin.
Was the future not a ruin?
I think all shards can see into the future in some extent. Ruin and preservation can both look into the future.
So then why the fuck is it labeled
Technically,
What?
Endowment can too, because like the whole thing with like the Returned is that Endowment lets them see into the future to decide if they want to come back to life to try and stop something. The thing is, though, they're not saying that looking into the future is of Odium. They're saying it's of the Voidbringers. So shards are allowed to look into the future. Other people can't.
What, they're gonna fucking start humming clairvoyance?
So the end falls from the tower before lashing himself south, knowing that his Stormlight didn't last long. Apparently the Knights Radiant had been better at it, just like the Voidbringers. Zeth eventually lands in a village just outside the mountains, where people left out Stormlight for him after seeing him so often. Zeth would continue to find more towns with Stormlight until he got to where he wanted to go, and killed of his own choice this time. But who do you think Zeth is going to try to kill?
Kaladin.
He's going to try and kill Kaladin for being a Knights Radiant? Is he going to become
No.
Darkness 2.0?
He wants to kill him so he can ask for his hand in marriage as a boon. I think it's because he was like, oh my god, there's another one, you know? Or he might try to kill his master. Because that'd be awesome. Would that work though?
Don't know.
Because he's already doubting himself and like everything that's happened to him. Because there's another motherfucker with powers, you know? Wait, so if they kicked him out because he said they were coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they essentially like, oh, you're like stupid, leave. And there's proof that they're coming back because Kaladin. That's just pushing him even more away from the idea that it's like valid what they did or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, if I was correct, and that means I shouldn't have been truthless, which means that like I've killed all these people for no reason, and like everything I did was like
A
not
lot.
okay.
Is he able to not walk on stone because of that, or is he able to just?
No, it's part of the Shin religion to not walk on stone.
That's kind of weird. Who's the motherfuckers that bury their shit on stone? They're dead people.
The Parshmen.
Right. Interesting.
So then we get Interlude 11, New Rhythms. So we switch to Eshonai's point of view as she climbs the central tower of Narak, a comet-like spren fluttering around her head as she tries to shoo it away. She has spent 15 days in her new form now, and she enjoyed it and the new rhythms immensely. However, she had gone back to attuning the old, dull rhythms as her new rhythms made some of the other listeners uncomfortable. Once she reaches the top, she finds the other 4 leaders, along with her sister Venli, who is now also in storm form. So what do you think about this comet-like spren that is following Eshonai around?
Who the fuck is? Oh, that's this new storm sprint thingy, right?
It does not seem to be, because the storm spren, I believe, are like red lightning.
No, for the storm form.
Yeah, for storm form.
Is it a storm sprint? Sprint that.
Oh, you think it's like a different spren that's being like called to her because of her storm form, not the spren that made her, because it's not the spren that made her into storm form. The spren that made her into storm form is red. This is a different spren.
What if it's just a bad sprint?
Could be. Could just be some other type of evil spren.
Like no, like the freaking. Well, yeah, but like, I mean, like an odium situation.
Spren of Odium.
Yeah, it could be some sort of void spren. So she cycles through the rhythms in her head before gasping as she hears herself screaming in pain for a moment. She reflexively pulls her hand to her chest in anxiety, not noticing until after that she had grabbed the spren in her hand while doing so. Eshonai then focuses on the fact that there was a lull was coming, which the humans called the weeping. It made it difficult to move forward her plans to get every listener into storm form. So far, Venli, her scholars, and 200 soldiers, who she was sure would obey her, had changed last high storm. There was another soon, and Venli had thousands of spren ready for the transformation. Davin brings up that this meeting was called because Eshonai had been speaking to the other listeners about her plan without bringing it to the 5 first. Eshonai replies that she was just excited, and also that they should now be the 6. She also regards the listeners in mate form with disgust. Eshonai then tells them that they only have 2 more high storms before the lull, and that she wants to transform everyone. She also lies about her meeting with the humans, stating that they had come to gloat, and that they wanted to destroy them all. Eshonai states that she wants as many of them as possible in storm form so they can summon a high storm while the Alethi are out on the plateaus and exposed while trying to come attack them. So what do you think about Eshonai wanting all of the listeners to take storm form?
I think it's a bad idea because it changes them, but obviously it's making them evil.
Why is everyone not themselves when they're hungry recently?
Yeah.
She's hungry for power.
Also, what do you think about Eshonai lying about her meeting with the humans?
Well, she wants a war now, so it's war spren.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a thing?
War spren? Not that we've seen so far.
I mean, there's war form, but there's no war. There hasn't been war spren so far.
So Davin seems to be considering it, and he tells Eshonai how the form, or asks Eshonai how the form feels. Every form is different, so he wants to know what emotions this form feeds into. Eshonai tries to attune to peace, but realizes that is the screaming voice. Instead, she attunes to joy and states that this form is like the change from dull form to the other forms. It makes her feel more attuned to the world around them, more alive. Abernai, however, does not like the red eyes that come with this form. However, the dull form of the five does not want to make this change, and Eshonai's response of not wanting to listen to him causes the others to pause and say they want to think and consider things more. So what do you think about the fact that Eshonai hears herself screaming just while attuning to peace?
Kind of nut.
Yes.
Makes it sound like an evil thing, for sure.
But why do you
You're
think
not
it's like
you when you're
the
not.
rhythm of peace specifically that's the
Because
one where
it
she's
doesn't
screaming?
because it doesn't want peace. It
Hmm.
wants bloodshed and war.
It's a storm form, right? So it's just gonna like want destruction. It wants to be let free.
So after the meeting, Venli comes up to Eshonai and tells her that she spoke too aggressively. She states they need as many of the listeners transformed as possible. Eshonai accuses Venli of knowing what this form would do to her before having taken the transformation. Venli just smiles and says she
agree.
did.
I agree. They need more singers on their side.
Eshonai hears the screaming in her head, and then Eshonai asks how Venli discovered this form as it wasn't in the songs. But Venli just replies that they need everyone in this form to defeat the humans and summon the storm that have been waiting. Eshonai has replied that she'll be able to get the listeners to transform as long as Venli and her scholars have the spren needed. Eshonai then heads down to the stairs to the waiting crowd of listeners and announces that the five want to keep them from this form, and she will happily help anyone who wants to take storm form next high storm. She creates a very tiny storm in her hand, causing the wind to whip around her. The listeners hum to awe. Venli then comes to Eshonai, worried that she's being too aggressive, but Eshonai replies that it will work and that Venli does not know the people like she does. So what do you think about Eshonai overruling the five by telling the listeners that the five don't want them to take storm form?
She is fake ass Willie.
I mean,
Also,
I kind of agree with her, though. I mean, from her perspective, I agree with her. Like, if you're not getting what you want, go to the people.
yeah, but it's crazy how much this is taking a hold of on her.
Yeah, I mean, the only
Considering that
problem, in my
she-
opinion,
She herself was wary about doing it in the first place.
Mhm.
But the only problem I see that comes from it is the fact that it changed her into the like, basically making it so like if the people don't want to change, they're dead. Other than that, I think her entire speech was absolutely valid because if their laws state that like people are given the right to choose what form they want to be in, then like they should have that option since this is the new form. And so going out there and being like, yeah, if anybody who wants to change, come with me and I'll change you. And if that was where it stopped and you didn't go through the whole like, okay, well, we're gonna start killing these other people kind of thing, I would have had no problem with it. I think it would have been just fine.
So the five glare at Eshonai as she moves through the crowd and towards the barracks and practice arena. She calls out to the soldiers there, only 17,000 compared to how many they'd had before. She calls out for them to join her in storm form next high storm and states that her soldiers who are already in storm form are going to keep track of how many are willing to transform, not to force them, but just so that she knows the number. Eventually she is told that only a handful of the soldiers wish to refuse the transformation. Thude, one of her old friends, approaches her and asks if they really need so many to transform into storm form. Thude seems even more concerned when Eshonai instructs one of the other storm form to take account of the rest of the listeners in the camp who wish to transform. She states that she wants to know how many soldiers she will have in the coming battle and to separate those who do not wish to take on the transformation. So what do you think about Eshonai like rounding up all of the people who don't want to take storm form?
Sounds a lot like a Nazi war camp.
Yeah.
She's like, I just want to count. Just separate them from each other. It's fine. I just want to make sure I know how many soldiers we have. That's
I just
definitely
want to
the
make
reason.
sure I know how many of my, people that I'm surrounded by are Jewish.
God.
I'm not gonna put them in a camp or anything. I'm not gonna kill nobody. No. No. I just want to know who is going against me. That's all.
Once Eshonai was alone, Venli comes up to her and states that she will need to kill the ones who refuse the transformation. Eshonai states they will have to wait until everyone is transformed, which Venli calls sloppy. Eshonai tells Venli not to question her, and she thinks that Venli will try to take control from her at some point. Eshonai thinks that she never used to want control, and that this doesn't feel like her anymore. However, she turns her mind away from that as Abernai is brought towards her, shouting that storm form has changed Eshonai. Eshonai knew that Abernai would be a problem and thinks that even in storm form, he would likely have been a problem since Abernai has too much control over his emotions and form. So what do you think about the aggression between Eshonai and Venli?
Kind of like unprecedented. What's the word that I'm thinking of? Like it doesn't seem like her, or like in general, like wouldn't have thought that they would have argued about anything. To be honest.
even though it seems like they're on the same side at this point, they're still like arguing and like fighting for control.
Yep, they're sisters. God damn it! What the hell?
It's just friend. It's just like normal sibling banter, you know.
Yeah, totally. I hear you banter with your siblings all the time.
So Melu then
And
tells
you do it in Spanish, but you know.
Melu tells Eshonai that the others of the five agreed to the transformation, but Eshonai says to put Zoln with Abronai and the others as she doesn't trust him. Thud then comes to Eshonai with concerns again, and she pulls him to the side. He states that he doesn't like what is happening to her. She, however, argues that things need to change, that even he said before that the five weren't acting enough. She tells him that she just wants to save their people, causing Thud to come to consideration. However, Eshonai thinks that it's forced, and she worries that she'll have to execute him and her friends, as she instilled too much fear in them of their old gods, and thus her red eyes were what was keeping him from taking this form. Thud then points out that Eshonai's own mother was part of the dissenters, causing Eshonai to startle as she glances over. She wonders why she wasn't consulted, unsure if it was because of her followers were being very loyal or because they thought she would falter. Eshonai tells Thud that he and his group can be in charge of them, since he is worried he's worried about what she'll do to them. This seems to persuade Thud properly. So what do you think about Thud's concerns about Eshonai?
They're warranted for sure. But my concern, right, was doesn't her sister then come to her later and be like, "This was a bad idea," kind of a thing? And if so, if I'm right on that, doesn't that mean that she also doesn't really care about her mother?
Yeah, we're gonna get to that after this next paragraph.
Okay,
Here.
I'm like, I just thought I literally just thought about that. Like I was like, wait, was it? If it's her mother, isn't it also the other girl's mother?
Yeah. What did you think, Darkness, about Thud's concerns about Eshonai?
I mean, we clearly know that she's changing and all that, and these are not, you know,
The droids you're looking for? These are not the droids you're looking for.
well, what specific way it's changing her, you know.
Making her much more aggressive, prone to battle and fighting in general.
Yeah, but the thing is, I feel like in all the other forms, there's a specific, maybe it is just like fury and hate, but like, and I feel like in the other forms, there's a specific like emotion that is amplified.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, it could be exactly what you're saying. Anger, maybe.
Well, at that point, it's literally odium, you know.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it seems like anger, don't you think? Or hatred.
Maybe, and I don't understand why everyone's still following her. Well, I mean, I guess because they see her as like, oh, like
Strong.
she was, yeah, but she also like cared and was like taking care of all of them essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And she's also
okay,
gone
but
around telling everyone that the humans have. When she tried to like talk to them about peace, the humans were like,
Oh,
"Nah,
yeah,
we're gonna
she
come
lied.
destroy you all." So they're like,
Yeah,
the
she
only
lied.
way to stop this is to defeat the humans, and the only way to defeat the humans seems to be Stormform, based on what Eshonai is telling us. And Eshonai was
She shouldn't
trustworthy.
have got into that meeting with them with Stormform on because that just fucked it all over.
Mm-hmm. She
Should
didn't
never have
realize
found
how bad it was
Stormform,
gonna go.
Should never have found Stormform, in all honesty. But
Yeah, Venli was supposed to be finding fucking art form or scholar form, and she's like, nah, storm form is where it's at. And Eshonai was like, I don't know about that, bud.
It's crazy how that's a sister, right?
Yeah.
How she is pushing towards it and then pulling away from it and then like.
Well, Venli's specifically pushing towards getting everyone to storm form. She just doesn't like the way Eshonai's fully handling things. She has like, her own way she wants
that's
to do
the thing
things.
though. Like, if she doesn't like that part, it's like it's a big part of the Stormform thing.
Well, Venli's also in storm form, so she's like, I have my own way of control that I would like to do.
So they're
in
just
your way,
fighting
it's stupid.
for
Yeah, they're fighting for no
leadership.
reason.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is why I say it's anger or some kind of other hostility spread. Or
It's
something,
two
you know?
people who are like, my way's the best way, and you're doing it wrong.
My way
Yeah, but
or
I feel
the
like all of them
highway.
are gonna think. I feel like all of Stormform is gonna think that way,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big, in my opinion, that's a big reason that they probably all fell off because they probably have either one form like that or they have multiple forms that are like that, and everybody then starts fighting each other. And
Yeah. Well,
can't have
Eshonai
that.
obviously realized that because that's why she took the people who were like the most like she didn't choose like the smartest and like most like thoughtful of her people of the soldiers to become Stormform. She's like, nah, I'm gonna choose the lesser soldiers who are happy to just let me think for them to be Stormform because even when you take different forms, you still have some of yourself. So she's like, they'll still in Stormform not want to take control from me. Whereas like if I turn Thud or someone else into Stormform, he may have his own ideas and try and take control from me. So
Yeah, plus he's already pretty good about sticking to his beliefs,
Mhm.
regardless of the form he's in.
Yeah, that's also why she didn't want like Abroni or Zoln to become Stormform, because she's like, I don't trust them. They're too good in their like lesser forms. They're too like in control of themselves. They'll mess everything up.
Especially the one that's in mate form. Yeah.
Yeah, she was very concerned about the one in mate form, and she's also concerned about the one in doll form, which is the one who was like, he was like speaking up and saying, I don't think any of us should take storm form.
In the actual, like in the audiobook, he sounds like a stoner, honestly, the doll form one.
Damn.
He's so much like a stoner. Like, he's just, come on, guys, we shouldn't do this.
Right. So Eshonai then goes to meet with the people and assure them that the Five will be back in charge once the humans are dealt with, so they don't get anxious over her taking control. However, as she reads some reports and gets ready for speaking to the rest of the listeners, she's told that Thude and his group have taken the dissenters and escaped into the chasms. Eshonai is not...
is so wild, because how long between the time that she like let them...
Yeah, I think she said it's been like a few hours. Like, she's been reading reports for a little bit as she's trying to, because it's taking a while to get like all of the listeners gathered. So
they literally are just like, all right, guys, we're leaving.
Well, he may have been planning something for a while, and he's like, okay, I gotta put it into motion now, because she's like rounding people up. But yeah, so he's apparently taken all the rest of the people that were rounded up, and they've escaped into the chasms. Eshonai is not concerned, though, stating that the High Storm will kill them all in the chasms in a couple days when it comes. Venli, however...
And this is where I get that thought. I have a theory on.
Venli, however, gets upset that they escaped, wondering why Eshonai would put Thude in charge of all people. But Eshonai tells Venli not to question her and grabs her by the neck. Venli is not worried about being killed, though, because it would make people question Eshonai. Plus, Venli is the only one who can get the Spren for Eshonai to make everyone into storm form. So what did you think about Eshonai's lack of response to Thude and the others escaping?
Well, I think what's going to happen is, what's the dude's name that's on Kaladin's team?
Rlain?
No, is that, yeah,
that's
his
actual, yeah, remember he gave his new name. He used to be called Shen, but then he gave his name as Rlain before he left.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to open up the door to him coming back. And like...
He's going to be the only one not in storm form.
Well, apparently Thude and this group, if they survive, aren't also going to be in storm form.
Yeah, but I think like they're going to come, like they're going to find them, like he's going to find them or something, and then like they're going to have a conversation, and he's going to get like a form kind of idea. I'm hoping for war form, but you know, we'll see.
Counter form.
Counter form.
Because there's been some theories that the small part of Eshonai that it like does not like herself is what allowed her to like, she basically wanted Thude and the others to escape, which is why she's kind of so dismissive here.
Probably.
That's
in
a
my
theory
head,
that a lot of people have, is that like the part of Eshonai that's like trying to reject storm form and has been like screaming while in peace mode is like she like was the one who kind of like put the idea into Stormform Eshonai's head of like, let Thude
what guards
be in
did
charge.
they leave with?
So Thude and the rest of Eshonai's like main group of soldiers were the ones who were in charge of guarding the rounded up people, and they like took them and like all escaped into the chasms.
You know what's crazy? I don't know how I misunderstood this, but in my head, she sent them to get killed.
So she was going to kill them all, but like they escaped before she could, and she's like, oh, it's fine, we don't need to chase them, they'll probably die in the chasms anyways when the high storm comes.
That works for...
No, I see that now, but like in my head, how I took it was, oh, like they left with that group because they're going to off them over there.
Yeah, no, Thude's he specifically helped them escape and escaped with them. So do you think we'll see Thude and his group again? Mythic's kind of already said he thinks so.
Yep.
But do you think we'll see Thude and his group again, Darkness?
Well, if they escape, then yes.
Well, it's just the question is, are they going to die in this upcoming high storm or not?
Probably
will they escape
not.
it?
If they do die in the high storm, I feel like somebody finds he finds them, and then like somehow figures out how to change forms. That would be awesome, but we'll see.
And then we get our final chapter, chapter 59, Fleet, which is the start of part 4, called The Approach. And we get our new epigraph, which is, I'll address this to my old friend, as I have no idea what name you're currently using. So we're back to letters for an epigraph. I'll just tell you guys now, this is the response to the last letter we got, which I think was in the previous book. And I believe you guys thought it was Hoyd who had sent out a letter to someone.
I don't remember that, but okay.
There was a letter...
I remember saying Wit did it, but I don't remember Hoyd.
But yeah, so this is a response letter to that. Which is why they're like...
A letter to Hoyd.
The letter to Hoyd/Wit.
No, you just said it was Wit writing the letter. You don't think it's a letter to Hoyd?
I said Hoyd wrote the letter. Mythic's the one who said it was Wit.
You don't understand me. Okay.
Wit and Hoyd are two different people. What are you talking about, Midnight?
No, they're the same person. I don't care. Okay, but like, what I'm saying is like, instead of him writing it, what if it's him receiving it?
That's what I'm saying. The last one was
Yeah,
him writing
yeah.
it. This one's him receiving.
This is receiving.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah
That's why this person's like, I don't know what name you're currently using, because we know that Hoyd's used a whole bunch of different names over the years.
What if? Never mind.
I believe the other name we've known for him is Cephandrius. I don't remember if we have another one as well that we've.
Cassandra.
Cephandrius.
Yeah, no, Cassandra for sure. Is that the name he told? Not Kaladin. What the fuck is it?
No, he told. No, I think Preservation Laris calls him Cephandrius to Kelsier. He calls himself Hoyd to Kelsier, but Preservation in Secret History calls himself Cephandrius. But yeah, so we switch to Kaladin's point of view as he sits in prison. You notice that he gets fed well and gets blankets and such. It's better than being treated as a
room is amazing.
Yeah, apparently it's really nice except for the stone bed. But it has no windows and he absolutely hates it. The solitude didn't bother him, but he hated being cooped up inside. On his third day, he heard a commotion, although he wasn't sure what it was. He wondered if Bridge 4 was trying to break him out. Kaladin glanced at some spears and lights just outside the cell, wondering if he should break out, even though it would be against the law. Syl replies that laws don't matter, as she isn't a high spren. What's right matters. So what do you think this commotion might be 3 days into his imprisonment?
There's a protest happening outside.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think I think my thoughts were that it was going to be like Bridge 4 or whatever. Not breaking him out, but like kind of like protesting. Yeah.
Protesting and arguing with his imprisonment.
Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering where the heck they are all these days.
If it's not that and it's an attack on them, they're fucked because Kaladin's not there.
Not there, exactly.
Although when Syl brings up Dalinar, Kaladin gets upset and won't let her speak about him. He claims that Dalinar isn't like all the others, which angers Syl, and she asks him to say it again. However, Kaladin says he can't lie to her, and says that Dalinar isn't like the others, but Elhokar is.
I like how he says he can't lie to her, but he lied to her though originally.
Well, he kind of more said it to himself. He's like, Dalinar's just like all the others. And she's like, really? Say that again. And he's like, okay, Dalinar's not like the others, but Elhokar is.
Elhokar's a dick.
Kaladin's
to mind your own business.
Too much power. To be honest.
Yeah, let the man get his own fucking opinions, bro.
Yeah, I agree. She definitely needs to mind her own damn business, but...
Kaladin states that Moash and his friends are right, that Elhokar shouldn't be on the throne, which makes Syl shrink in on herself. Kaladin begins pacing, hoping that Dalinar would keep his word and get him out soon. The disturbance down the corridor goes quiet, and Kaladin eventually brought some food, which he eats with his hands as he isn't given forks or knives. What do you think about Kaladin now believing that Moash and his friends are right to want to get rid of Elhokar?
I agree.
Do you agree, Darkness? Suddenly, Wit shows up, holding... Huh? Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think at any point in this fucking book, he's done anything king-worthy.
Suddenly, Wit shows up, holding a strange instrument and sitting on a bench that Kaladin wasn't sure had been there before. Kaladin asks if the guards let him in, and Wit says that technically they did. Wit then hums to himself as he tunes his instrument, stating that perfect pitch makes this easier than it used to be.
He got in. He didn't even, like... It's weird.
Yeah,
there's a door there. No, you didn't get in through the door, dude.
He brought a bench with him, apparently, too. Kaladin's like, where did that bench come from?
Yeah, like, what the heck, bro? Like, I swear to God, it feels like he just opens fucking singularities or whatever the fuck
Perpendicularity.
Perpendicularities, like, in, like, random locations, and then appears in places.
Well, apparently not, because apparently Rock has specifically seen him come out of a perpendicularity, seems like.
Yes, but I mean, just you see him come out of one doesn't mean that he doesn't create more somewhere.
I mean, remember, he had to get through the one in Mistborn. That's why he had to get past Kelsier, because he couldn't just make one himself.
Okay, but what if he just has to do that in order to get into worlds, and then when he's in the world, he just makes them?
Because he has because he's like attuned to it now or whatever.
But also
this dude just keeps appearing everywhere. Okay.
Yeah. Also, it basically Wit has perfect pitch because he's been to Nalthus, so he's got like a bunch of breath enough to give himself perfect pitch. Yeah. So that was one of the abilities.
Yeah. The singing thing got me confused as fuck, but yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, oh yeah, tuning my instruments is so much easier now that I have this ability of perfect pitch. So Kaladin asks Wit if he's going to play him music, but Wit replies that Kaladin wouldn't appreciate it, and he instead asks Kaladin for a story. Kaladin does. I know he still does tell a story. Calvin doesn't want to tell a story, but Wit says
No, he still plays
yeah,
music.
he still does play music too. Calvin says he doesn't want to tell a story, but Wit says he'll leave when the story's over. So Calvin gives a couple sentences. Been a man who went to jail and hated it. Wit then tries to give an example of a rabbit and a chick in a field, which Calvin does not understand because he doesn't know what the fuck a rabbit is, and he barely knows about chickens. He also doesn't know what a
First off, he said
grassy
chick.
field is.
First off, he said a chick.
He does say
and then
chick, and Calvin's like, "You mean a baby chicken?"
Yeah, like he 100% says chick, and I was like, "Are we? What kind of chick we talking about, though?"
Talking about animals for sure. But yeah, so Calvin does not understand, causing Wit to talk about a slimy creature and a crab creature with 17 legs moving across a rocky ground. Because he's like, oh yeah, you like these fucking gross stuff. You don't have normal animals.
Crab. Like, what the fuck, man?
Suddenly, Wit begins to play his instrument and tells Calvin to close his eyes and tell him what he sees. Calvin wonders.
Which is amazing, by the way.
Calvin wonders how one man can produce such music, as it sounds like two melodies at once. However, he tells Wit that this is.
His breath.
He tells Wit that this is the song of a man who is running. So why do you think Calvin chose a song about a man racing the storm? Or do you think Wit actually decided on the story himself? Like, do you think...
I don't remember Kaladin singing it.
So Kaladin makes a bunch of the decisions. So he's the one who tells Wit that this is the story of a man who is running. And so, like, do you think Kaladin actually...
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought Wit was the one that said... Oh, okay.
Yeah, Kaladin...
I was super
Well,
confused
Wit played the music, and then Kaladin,
Okay.
Kaladin, like, said, like, oh, this is the song of a man who is running.
Kaladin was describing it because of what he felt through the music.
Yeah, because
Which
Wit's like, this
Oh,
is your story to
That's
tell
what it
me.
was. Okay. That's what that was. Okay. I just found it confusing because I thought it was Wit telling the story because, you know, the motherfucker is a storyteller.
Well, so Wit tells, like, most of the story, but he has Kaladin, like, pipe in to give direction for it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So
That's what I'm saying, like, do you
So he
think
is telling the story
Kaladin...
originally.
Yeah, so Wit tells most of the story, but, like, every once in a while he's like, Kaladin needs to, like, he, like, waits for Kaladin to give direction to the story. And, like, Kaladin's technically also the one who chose the theme of the story. So that's why the question was, like, do you think technically Wit, like, influenced Kaladin into deciding on this story, or do you think...
with his music, for sure.
Do you agree, Darkness? That he kind of forced Kaladin into this story?
I feel like Wit does a lot of things where he just forces people into things.
No, I don't think so.
You think he just went
I
along
feel
with
like-
what Kaladin said?
I feel like it's like when you let's say we're all hearing the same song, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we close our eyes and picture what goes along with that song, it's gonna be like different variations of it for each one.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like that's all him.
Okay.
But also like Hoyt is a little sneaky motherfucker. So
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of heavy emphasis, like heavy what's the word I'm looking for here?
implications.
Influence?
Influence, yeah.
Here you go.
So Wit then begins to tell a tale about Fleet, a man who had raced the Herald Chanarak and won, the fastest man to ever live. Wit then states that Fleet wanted to race the storm.
That's Barry Allen.
So Wit
The
states
funniest part is that I actually thought the same thing when I was reading or was listening to it.
Fleet wanted to race the storm, so he waited at a beach on the eastern side of Roshar for a storm to start, and eventually a storm wall approached. Wit didn't speak again until Kaladin prompted him by saying that first the race went well. Wit states that Fleet outpaced the storm through Elithkar, and he eventually approached the mountains, and Kaladin said that he couldn't outrace the storm forever. So Fleet barely makes it over the mountains, the storm licking at his heels, and he continued across the continent. Kaladin notes that Fleet begins to feel tired, and that the mountains before Shinovar were approaching. Wit continues on that Fleet made it through Shinovar as the storm was weak there. However, as he approached his end, Kaladin got upset and said that Fleet died. Wit then jokes that Kaladin does know the story, because even though Kaladin is deciding on it, all stories have been told before. Wit claims that Fleet was as real as him, and he did die. Wit states that although Fleet's body was dead, his soul rose into the storm, and he raced across the ocean ahead of the storm, no longer feeling tired. Kaladin asks what the story meant, and Wit replies that it's Kaladin's story, so he decides. Kaladin states the storm caught up to him, and Wit asks if it matters, to which Kaladin states he doesn't know. Wit then says that Kaladin has something to think about before leaving. So why do you think Wit came to tell Kaladin this story?
Because fucking Hoyd inserts himself in everything. He's a self-insert.
Future.
Like, even if he's not Brandon's fucking self-insert, he is a self-insert. He inserts his little fucking shit into everything. He literally influences every person in every story. In
Wit
some way,
goes where
shape,
he
or
needs
form.
to go.
Yeah. Oh, I think like he goes where he's like, you know, feels like it's gonna be the funniest story, to be honest.
So that was our final chapter. First of all, what do you think is going
Oh
to
wait,
happen?
we're never reading again. Sweet.
No, that was our final chapter of this episode.
You didn't
Uh,
say that originally.
what do you think
Coming
is
up with new shit now.
going to happen to the listeners who? Oh, we already asked that question.
Yeah. What?
Uh,
Why are you re-asking questions? Like,
What do you think is going to happen when the rest of the remaining listeners take storm form?
They're gonna become evil, and then somebody's gonna have
Boy.
to stop them. Yeah, then somebody's gonna have to stop them. Honestly,
How long
Like
do
Kaladin.
how long do you think Kaladin is going to be in jail for?
Until the next chapter he's in.
Until he gets broken out or breaks out himself.
I don't think he's gonna have to break out. I think Talinar's coming back for him,
Mm.
but it's probably gonna be after like some stupid shit happened, like somebody attacked the king,
He's gonna send out Soda Scout, and then she's gonna
or
be like, "Oh,
even
this shit is
better,
happening."
somebody assassinates the king and Dalinar becomes the fucking leader. God damn.
Also, do you think Kaladin is going to join Moash in trying to assassinate Elhokar now?
No. Yes, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome, but no.
Actually, maybe. I think he's gonna at least take it to like go to the meeting and like meet these people finally.
I'm gonna properly listen to them this time.
Yeah, like actually like have a like genuine conversation with these people and not just assume before you even got there what your answers to everything was going to be.
All right. Did you have any other thoughts and theories before we end this episode?
I do. The other option I think that might get Kaladin out is if Amarim, right? Amarim, that's the one dumb dude, right?
That's the guy
like
who
actually
he wants to
shows
kill.
his true colors. Yeah,
Yeah.
shows his true colors, and they finally see that shit. That
He kind of
Kaladin's
panicked
right.
when he finally realized who Kaladin was.
Yeah, no, maybe that in that panic he'll do something stupid and show his true colors.
Kaladin's gonna be like, "Why were you panicking if you didn't remember who this guy was and if his things aren't true?"
Know this person. Yeah.
So yeah, that is the end of this episode. Thank you to everyone for listening. Next time, which is going to be a few weeks for us, but hopefully I'll be able to keep up with the editing, so it should just be technically next week for all the listeners. We will be reading chapter 60 through 66. So we're going to be doing 7 chapters.
Get on the Patreon.
Yes, please get on the Patreon. We have one person who is following the Patreon. Thank you so much for our free Patreon member who is checking it out. We really appreciate it. Also, thank you to the podcast Following Noadon, who they kind of, I listed a bunch of other Cosmere podcast Patreons on as our recommendations, and one of them listed us back. They recommended us to their viewers as well. So thank you so much for that. Following Noadon. And also coming up, I think it might be October when this comes out. So in October, there's going to be a discount for Patreon because that's our 2-year anniversary of recording the podcast is this October. Isn't that exciting, guys? We're going to be doing this for 2 years.
Exciting.
2 years too long.
Yeah, I agree.
I've been captive for too long.
Yeah, somebody come save us, please.
You are stuck forever.
She's holding us captive. We can't.
I feel like ruined. No wonder he wanted out.
Exactly.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening.
Where's Hoyd? I need Hoyd. Hoyd, save me.
Bye.
Bye.